Good evening. Tonight we examine rising tensions in Asia, where the U.S. and China are locked in a high-stakes military chess match. The Indo-Pacific is the board and the pieces are warships, fighter jets, and now, new runways. China's military has grown rapidly and the U.S. is responding, determined not to cede influence or abandon allies. This isn't just about military hardware, it's about competing visions for Asia's future. China seeks dominance under President Xi, while the U.S. aims to preserve an order based on international law and alliances. Every move, like building a runway in the Philippines, signals intent and raises the stakes. A miscalculation could trigger a crisis with global consequences. That's why even routine military projects are now closely watched for clues about strategy and resolve. The new runway in the Philippines is one such clue, pointing to a more assertive American presence in China's backyard. Let's take a closer look at the project itself, and why it matters so much in today's tense geopolitical climate. The United States is constructing a massive 12,000-foot runway at Basa Air Base on Luzon, a key Philippine island. This base sits just a short flight from the South China Sea and only 200 miles from the contested Scarborough Shoal, making it a critical outpost in a region marked by territorial disputes and military posturing. This ambitious upgrade, part of the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, is designed to allow U.S. forces to operate a much wider range of aircraft, from fighter jets to cargo planes and to pre-positioned vital equipment. It transforms Basa into a modern hub for rapid deployment and logistics, enhancing both nations' ability to respond to crises. It's not just about hardware. It's a long-term commitment to the U.S.-Philippine alliance, signaling a renewed partnership and a significant boost to Philippine defense capabilities. For Manila, this means a stronger, more capable air force and a clear message to China and the region. The Philippines is not standing alone. With American support, its ability to defend its airspace and interests is greatly enhanced. The presence of U.S. forces at Basa acts as a powerful deterrent, making any potential aggression riskier and more complicated for adversaries. It's a visible reminder that the stakes have changed. But from Beijing's perspective, this is yet another link in a growing chain of U.S. military sites encircling China, a move they see as part of a broader strategy to contain their rise and influence in Asia. The new runway puts American warplanes and support aircraft much closer to regional flashpoints like Taiwan and the South China Sea, allowing for faster response times and greater operational reach. For China, this is a provocative step, clear evidence of Washington's intent to challenge its growing influence and assertiveness in the region, raising the stakes in an already volatile environment. In the end, the runway is more than just infrastructure, it's a bold statement of intent, a physical symbol of shifting alliances and the new realities shaping the Indo-Pacific. To truly grasp the significance of the Basa runway, it helps to look at recent military maneuvers in the region and what they're meant to communicate, not just to allies, but to potential adversaries as well. Consider, for example, the high-profile U.S. military displays that have taken place across the Indo-Pacific. These events are more than just routine exercises. They are carefully orchestrated demonstrations of power, coordination, and intent. One of the most striking examples is the Elephant Walk at Kadena Air Base in Okinawa. Here, the U.S. Air Force assembled dozens of jets, tankers, and cargo planes, all taxiing in tight, disciplined formation along the runway, a powerful visual of unity and strength. This spectacle wasn't just for show, it was a rigorous drill designed to prove how quickly the base could launch a massive wave of aircraft if a crisis erupted, simulating a real-world scenario where every second counts. The exercise put every aspect of the base to the test, from the speed and efficiency of ground crews prepping jets for immediate takeoff, to the rapid response of engineering teams tasked with repairing runways after simulated enemy attacks, ensuring the base could stay operational under fire. The overarching goal was clear, to demonstrate not just readiness, but resilience, the ability to absorb a blow and keep fighting, no matter the circumstances. Lining up over 50 aircraft in such a display sent an unmistakable message to the world. U.S. forces in the region are not only present, but fully prepared to respond instantly to any threat. This kind of visible, large-scale preparedness is a cornerstone of deterrence. It signals to rivals that any aggression will be met with swift, coordinated, and overwhelming force. The new Basa runway is a critical piece of this broader strategy. By expanding and modernizing airfields, the U.S. is building a more flexible and resilient network of launch pads throughout the region. By spreading forces across a wider array of bases, the U.S. military becomes much harder to target, disrupt, or neutralize in a conflict, complicating any adversary's plans. The message to China and others is unmistakable. American power in the Indo-Pacific is not only present but highly flexible, deeply resilient, and always ready to respond to any challenge. Every new base, every upgraded runway, and every exercise like the Kadena Elephant Walk further strengthens this posture, ensuring the U.S. remains a formidable force in the region for years to come. These moves, building runways, staging exercises, are a unified message to Beijing. First, they signal American strength and resolve. The U.S. will uphold its security commitments in the Indo-Pacific. Second, they show solidarity with allies. The U.S. is reinforcing its alliance network, its greatest regional asset. These are joint efforts, not solo acts, telling China it faces a united front, not just the U.S. For allies like the Philippines and Japan, these actions are tangible proof of American support. Security guarantees are backed by real investment and presence. This boosts their confidence to resist pressure from Beijing. From China's perspective, however, this looks like encirclement, a Pacific NATO aimed at containing its rise. Chinese media frame U.S. alliances as destabilizing, fueling a cycle of action and reaction. Each side sees its moves as defensive, the others as provocative. This dynamic now defines the U.S. China relationship. Why are these new strategies necessary? What's driving the urgent shift in U.S. military thinking across the Pacific? The answer is clear. China's rapidly expanding missile arsenal is changing the balance of power in the region. For decades, U.S. bases in Japan and Guam were considered safe havens, far from any direct threat. But today, that sense of security has vanished. China has developed a vast and sophisticated array of ballistic and cruise missiles, capable of striking targets with increasing range and accuracy. Some of these missiles are specifically designed to target moving ships at sea, threatening U.S. naval power and freedom of movement. Others are built to strike distant bases like Guam, once thought to be out of reach, but now well within China's missile envelope. Missiles like the DF-21D, often called the carrier killer, and the long-range DF-26 can hit with incredible speed and precision, making them a formidable threat. These weapons threaten U.S. air power across the Pacific, putting both aircraft and the bases they rely on at risk. Analysts warn that in the opening hours of any conflict, China could unleash a massive missile barrage, overwhelming defenses and crippling U.S. capabilities. A concentrated missile strike could crater runways, destroy fuel depots, and ground U.S. jets before they ever get airborne. If American aircraft can't take off, they can't fight, leaving the U.S. at a severe disadvantage from the very start. This scenario would give China a decisive early advantage, potentially shaping the outcome of a conflict before it truly begins. It's a threat that keeps U.S. commanders awake at night, forcing them to rethink long-standing assumptions about security and strategy. Concentrating forces at a few large, well-known bases is now a dangerous liability. These installations have become giant, vulnerable targets. The very features that once made these bases powerful, their size, infrastructure, and firepower, now make them easy to find and easier to attack. In today's missile age, the strength of these hubs has become their greatest vulnerability, putting thousands of personnel and billions in assets at risk. The Pentagon is being forced to rethink its entire Pacific posture, searching for new ways to protect its forces and maintain deterrence. The new reality is clear. Survival now depends on dispersal, mobility, and adaptability, not just overwhelming firepower. The U.S. must learn to operate from more, smaller, and less predictable locations, making it harder for adversaries to target them all at once. That's why the construction of new runways and temporary airfields across the Pacific is so important for future operations. New runways like Basa in the Philippines aren't just infrastructure, they're a symbol of a new, more flexible approach to defense in the missile age. The old answer to missile threats was defense and repair, missile interceptors and rapid runway patching. But China can now launch more missiles than the U.S. can shoot down. Even the best defenses can be overwhelmed by a saturation attack. Repair teams may not keep up if dozens of missiles hit at once. Bases could be shut down for days. This creates a dangerous window of vulnerability. If main air bases are knocked out, U.S. air power is grounded when it's needed most. Tankers and fighters would be stuck, unable to defend allies or strike back. That's why dispersal is now the strategy. More runways in more countries complicate China's targeting. An attacker must now strike not just Japan and Guam, but new sites like the Philippines. This makes the U.S. force more resilient and harder to defeat in a single blow. The U.S. Air Force is adopting Agile Combat Employment, or ACE. The idea: make air power mobile, flexible, and unpredictable. Instead of a few big bases, ACE disperses small teams and aircraft to many smaller, temporary sites. Airmen must be multi-skilled, and aircraft must handle rougher runways. The goal: keep forces moving, making them hard to track and target. The Bassa runway is a perfect ACE node, another place to refuel, rearm, and launch missions. Flexibility lets commanders shift assets like chess pieces, avoiding vulnerability. It's not just about more runways, but about building the logistics to support a nimble, distributed force. The U.S. can't do this alone. The Indo-Pacific is too vast. Strengthening alliances is now central to U.S. defense policy. The Bassa runway is a joint facility, boosting both U.S. and Philippine capabilities. Across the region, the U.S. is helping allies with hardware, training, and joint exercises. The goal: empower partners to defend themselves and operate seamlessly with U.S. forces. This shares the security burden and complicates adversary planning. Now, any aggressor faces not just the U.S., but a network of capable allies. The more China pushes, the more the region unites with American support. This is reshaping Asia's security landscape. What does this mean for the future? The military balance in Asia is shifting. For years, China's rise exposed U.S. vulnerabilities. Now America is adapting, dispersing forces, upgrading alliances, and building resilience. The Bassa runway is a symbol of this new approach. The goal: restore credible deterrence and convince China that aggression is too costly. The hope is to prevent war, not start one. Watch for more U.S. access to regional bases, bigger joint exercises, and China's response. Will Beijing moderate or double down, risking an arms race? The Indo-Pacific's future may hinge on these choices. The chess match continues, and the world is watching.